Hey guys, welcome to Algebra 1, Lesson 80. Now I forgot to mention in yesterday's lesson, you probably already figured it out by now, but we did skip Lesson 78 about closure because that lesson was not necessary. So anytime you have questions about closure in your homework, you do not need to do those questions. So just check really quickly. Okay, so that would be number 3 in today's lesson. You don't need to do number 3. I think that's it. No, number 3 and number 12. Yep, number 3 and number 12. Those you do not have to do. You can skip those problems, okay? So any ones that talk about if the set is closed, for which numbers is the set closed, whatever like that, then you can skip those particular problems, okay? All right, so let's get started with our lesson for today. We're talking about consecutive even or odd integers. So yesterday we talked about what consecutive numbers are. Those are numbers that are right next to each other on the number line. But what about if you want consecutive even numbers or consecutive odd numbers? Well, let's say I start with 2 and I want to know all the consecutive even numbers. Well, 3 isn't an even number. I have to skip over 3 and go to 4. So the next even number, I have to add 2 in order to get to it. My next even number after that would be 6. So that's 2 more. So if my number is n, I want to know the next even number, I have to have n plus 2. And if I want to know the next one after that, it's not n plus 3, it's n plus 4, okay? Let's see if it's the same with odd numbers. So that's even. What if I start out with 1, an odd number? Well, the next odd number, not 2, but 3. So again, it's plus 2. I want to go to the next odd number. Well, it's not 4, it's 5. So that's plus 4 from where 1 was. So it's the same exact thing. It doesn't matter if you're looking for odd integers or even integers. When you're looking for odd or even, you start with n, and then the next one, the next consecutive integer, the next consecutive number will be n plus 2. And then after that, n plus 4. So what will be the next one? N plus 6, that's right. Because you just count by 2s with the numbers that you have to add to n. Okay? So let's do some practice. Find 3 consecutive even integers such that the sum of the first and second equals the sum of the third and negative 10. So I'm looking for 3 consecutive even integers. So the first thing that I do is I realize it's going to be n plus 2, and n plus 4, not n plus 1, and n plus 2, because I'm looking for even, so I'm skipping over the odd numbers. Then it says the sum of the first and second equals. Okay, so the sum of the first and second would be n plus 2 equals, now I have the sum of the third and negative 10. So the third is n plus 4, and we're adding that to a negative 10. Okay, so now let's simplify. I have 2n over here plus 2 equals n, then I have 4 plus negative 10, subtract 10 minus 4 is 6, greater absolute value is negative 10, so it's negative 6. So n plus a negative 6. Now I'm going to get rid of the smaller n, so that would be, I'm going to subtract n from both sides, which means that I'll get rid of this whole number and subtract 2 from negative 6. So I'm left with n over here equals, these cancel, negative 6 plus a negative 2 is a negative 8. So n equals negative 8. Now always check, is that an even number like I was looking for? Yes, it is. It's hard for you to see that negative. So my first integer is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 2 equals negative 6. Negative 8 plus 4 equals negative 4. So those would be my consecutive integers. Let's try another one. Okay. Find 3 consecutive odd integers this time, such that the sum of the first and third is 7 greater than the second decreased by 18. Excuse me. Okay, so this one has a lot of words in it. So we're looking for odd integers. So we know again that we're going to have n plus 2, and n plus 4 because we're skipping over the evens. So we have the sum of the first and third is. So we'll stop at that is. The first would be n plus the third would be n plus 4. Now it is 7 greater than the second decreased by 18. So let's start with the second decreased by 18. The second would be n plus 2. Decreased by 18 would be minus 18. But it says it's 7 greater than that, so that would be plus 7. Okay, now let's simplify. Here on this side I have 2n plus 4. On this side I can drop my parentheses because everything here, everything in front is even. Even. Here it is, or not even, excuse me, positive. Here it is negative, but it's not in front of a parentheses, so I can just drop my parentheses all the way through. So I have n plus 2 minus 18 plus 7. So I'm first going to simplify that. Positive 2 plus a negative 18 gives me negative 16, plus 7 gives me a negative 9. Very good. So I have n plus a negative 9. Now I'm going to get rid of, let's see, this n. I'm going to subtract it from both sides. I'm just going to do one at a time to show you what that looks like. So I have n plus 4 equals negative 9. Subtract 4 from both sides. And I have n equals negative 13. So it's an odd number, just like I know I'm looking for. So n equals negative 13. N plus 2 is negative 11, and n plus 4 is negative 9. And those would be my consecutive integers. All right, let's try example 80.3. Okay, so erase this. It says, find 4 consecutive odd integers such that the sum of the first and fourth is 25 greater than the opposite of the third. Okay, so I'm looking for 4 odd integers. So that means I need to add another one. So n plus 6 equals. All right, the sum of the first and fourth is. So I'm going to start with that. The first is n. The fourth, is n plus 6. Is equals 25 greater than the opposite of the third. So it's 25 plus, what's the opposite of the third? Well, that's when we have a negative, and the third would be n plus 4. So to simplify on this side, I have 2n plus 6 equals negative 1 times n would be a negative n. So I have 25 plus negative n. Negative 1 times positive 4 would be negative 4. So plus negative 4. Okay? So you have to be very careful with your negatives. Make sure that you treat them correctly. When you have a negative in front of something in parentheses, it means you multiply, you distribute to each term inside the parentheses a negative 1. So negative 1 times the first number, negative 1 times the second number. If your first number is positive, it becomes negative. If your first number is negative, it becomes positive. So on and so forth. Okay, so I can further simplify, not changing anything over here. I have negative 4 plus 25 gives me 21 plus a negative n. I'm going to add n to both sides because this positive n will cancel out that negative n. So I now have 3n plus 6 equals 21. Subtract 6 from both sides, and I'm left with 3n equals 15. Divide both sides by 3, and I have n equals 5. Now I know I was looking for a odd integer, so I know I'm on the right track. 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. The next one would be 9, and the next one would be 11. Okay?